Oh, this meeting being recorded?
Yes, yes.
I will not be able to be a part of this meeting if it's going to be on record.
Yes, Lord.
Go ahead and just send me the PowerPoint. I'll go check this out in my spare time. You know, it gives you that option too, and it lets you know it's recording. So, do you want to stay in this meeting or do you want to leave?
Right. Yes, it does. It does give you that option. Hush.
Good morning, Miss Renee. Happy Valentine's Day. I was about to say Mother's Day.
That too, right?
No. It's just Valentine's Day. It don't say Valentine's Day / Mother's Day on the calendar.
I say that. That's true. Are you all seeing the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Hey, Deja.
Yes.
Can you? I sent this out, but can you make sure I don't I'm Michael and Michael Lamb? For some reason, I don't have their. I don't know where their email is.
Okay.
So I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you the link, a copy of the link, and then you can just forward it to them.
Okay.
And Craig Walker. What is his? And then Toba, we can pause the record so we can kind of pick it up once you get started.
So again, everyone, good morning and welcome to the ALH staff training. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you success coaches and staff. We are so thankful for you all, and we're thankful.
Recording in progress.
Our guest today, Mr. Holbert. And Hobold, I believe is how you say it. And he'll give us a little bit more information on that. And this is regarding a new insurance carrier that we have. So we're starting with that, and then we'll go and proceed with the rest of our meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen for our presentation, and we'll let Mr. Holbert take over. Hobold take over.
And I'm going to
Recording in
How do I do that? Hello?
Yep.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Hold on one second, guys. Ms. Tova, am I able to share my screen?
Yep, you want to share yours? Okay, I have some information on it, but go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, you do? You do? No, if you do, that's fine. I didn't know you had the brochure.
Oh, no, I don't have the brochure. No, you didn't send me that. So go ahead. You go ahead and share. Let me give you autonomy to do so.
Hey, Jim, can you hear us? You got to unmute yourself, Jim.
You should be co-host.
Jim, are you there? I see him. I see him there. You may have to unmute yourself. Okay, hold on one sec, guys. Hey, Jim.
Yeah, I'm still not hearing anything.
You may have to go out and come back in then.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So if we could, while we're waiting on Jim, he's gonna jump off and jump back on. Anybody, if you have, we're going to be changing carrier. So if you have health insurance with us, please put your name in the chat and put whether you have health, dental, and medical, health, dental, vision, and medical, or whatever. So whoever has the health care right now, please put your name and what you have in the chat. All right, Jim, can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yep, we're good.
All right. MJ, and just so you know, in full disclosure, I have 2 grandchildren that I'm babysitting, so there could be craziness in the background.
So just to give you a little bit of background on Mr. Hobolt, he's our insurance carrier, and he provides all of our insurances, from our liability insurances to our life insurance that we're going to be rolling out next month, and now even to our health insurance. So, Mr. Hobolt, go ahead and take it away.
All righty. What you see on the screen here is your United Healthcare. It's very similar to what you currently have. Don't get confused if William sends out the brochure and it says short-term healthcare. What that means is this product is very convertible. You can have it for as little as 30 days for as long as a year. It's designed for people, like it just says there, either in transition or trying to find better healthcare out there. So it's very, very customizable. And the one thing we really like about this product for businesses that have under 100 employees is they're individual policies. So it can be, again, be very customizable to each individual, and that way you can keep the prices down all across the board. And you're only paying for what you individually want to have. So when you look down on here to the next page, right there, okay, we have several different plan options. It depends on how much you want to spend up front. You know, insurance works basically 2 ways. Is how much do you want to put up front, and how much do you want the insurance company to put up front? And if you put more up front, then your monthly cost is lower. If you put less up front, your monthly cost is higher. So the two that I like the best are the copay and the Premier Elite and Plus Elite. They're the ones that give you the most bang for your buck overall. If you are going to, if you're a person that goes to the doctor, you know, several times a year for visits and things like that, the copay one is a little cheaper out of pocket up front, because it's got the, you know, it's a copay. Your deductible doesn't come into play until you're needing to spend a lot of money. But that monthly payment might be a little bit higher because the insurance companies put the money up front. If you go to the Premier Elite or Premier Plus, the deductible is in play first for your daily doctor visits and things like that. But once you hit your deductible, and let's say we do a $2,500 deductible, then you'll pay $2,500, and then after that, you never pay any money ever again. So if you're visiting the doctor a lot, that might be a good one. If you know, you have to look at how much did I spend last year visiting doctors? Did I spend $2,500? If you didn't, then the copay's better. If you did and spent more, then the Premier Elite might be better. Also, when you look at the Premier Elite, it goes into the once you go like the emergency room and hospital inpatients. If you go scroll down just a little bit, you can see there's no charge after the deductible. So if you got, you know, if you got a lot of kids that are in the emergency room a lot, you know, the Premier Elite might be the best, because once you get deductible, there's no more charges. You already spent your maximum out of pocket. If you don't have kids and you're not going to the emergency room a lot, or don't think you're going to the emergency room a lot, then the copay might be, you know, upfront, because you're only paying, you know, the 20% after the deductible. So again, each one of these tiers and that have different things. As far as the pharmacy stuff, all of them are pretty much exactly the same. The copay one is a little bit cheaper because you're paying 20% after deductible. But if you're going to use a lot of medicine, if you're on a lot of maintenance meds, then the Premier Elite's probably better, because once you get deductible, there is no charge. So then also you can see on the I lost my screen. There we go. You can see on the added virtual care benefit, my family uses this one a lot because I don't like to go to the doctor. And if I can prevent it, I just video call them, tell them what's going on with me. They'll prescribe some drugs over the phone, and I never have to go see them, and it doesn't cost me any money. Now, obviously, they can't take my blood pressure, and they can't do all the the typical stuff they do. But if I got the flu, I know I got the flu. I don't need to spend $100 at the doctor to tell them I got the flu. All I want is the drugs. So by doing that video call, you do the necessary requirement for the doctor to assign you some drug thing. Yeah, you look sick. We'll give you whatever you need to get over the flu. So that's kind of a cool benefit to have on your policy. Anybody got any questions so far?
What's the deductible that they gonna take out per month for it?
Right now, if I understand from Mr. William, and Mr. William might jump in there and say it, but I'm pretty sure that the cost to you is going to be virtually the same as it was last year.
Right. Yeah.
And then as far as the deductible, you get to choose. Do you want the $2,500 deductible? You want the $5,000 deductible? I always recommend the $2,500 one, because the difference on monthly cost compared to the 5,000, it doesn't jump that much. So you rather just have the lower deductible.
What would be a reason? Like, what would be an example of a time where you were required to pay your deductible?
What would be an example of what?
A time that you would need to pay your deductible.
Let's say you're going to let's say you got the Premier Elite and you're just going to a regular checkup, your wellness checkup. Your doctor might have deductibles in there, or they might not. And let's say the average doctor is $100 to go visit. You'd pay the $100 out of pocket. That would go towards your deductible. If you had the MJ, stop it. If you had the copay one, then it would just be $50. So if you think you're going to the doctor a lot, then you want to use the Premier Elite. If you're a guy like me, I hate doctors. I don't like to go to them unless I'm really, really sick or really, really injured. I would do the copay one because it only cost me $50. So.
Any more questions? Okay, so to sign up and to make the conversion, we'd like to get it done by Friday. And what we would need is for you to, Jim, if you could put your email in the chat.
I think I already did.
You may, if you can do it again, that'd be great.
Sure.
And maybe even your phone number if they need to call. What we'll do is for those who want the benefit, who want to go ahead and make the conversion, you'll send your information to Mr. Hobo, and he will then get you the application. He'll email the application out. It is your I've done it myself. It's a very easy process. What he would need to know basically is your name, your email address, if you are a smoker or non-smoker, and birth date. Name, email address, birth date, whether you are a smoker or a non-smoker. Is that, did I miss anything, Jim?
And zip code.
And zip code. And then his email and phone number is in the chat. And again, we need to get this squared away by Friday.
Yeah, and what happens is I put that information in, and because of the new laws with HIPAA, because they don't want agents to know everything about you, so I'll put it in. It'll do a generic price, and then it'll send out you a survey, and then you just fill it all out, and then you pretty much follow the prompts, and then William will make sure on the other side to do all the payment information.
Okay. Yep. And so, yeah. So kind of where we are with this, guys, for those of you who are on the plan, whatever you're paying currently, in terms of what the deduction is coming out of your check, it won't be any more than 25% of that. So You know, now if it doubles because, you know, something different's happened, we'll have to talk about that. But we can say that again, at the very least, you won't be paying any more than what you're paying right now. Okay? All right.
Understood.
Okay. All right. Again, if you have any questions on that, you have Mr. Hobo's phone number and email. But again, get him that information today so we can get going, and we want to have this completed by Friday. All right, Ms. Tova, you can go ahead and take it away. Thanks, Jim.
All right, thank you.
All right, everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and take my phone off of this. I'm gonna just make sure I can see what you all are seeing. All right. Well, we have that information. And again, don't forget, put your name, email, are you a smoker, non-smoker, DOB, date of birth, or zip code for the new insurance carrier. So it is time for our mindfulness moment. And really, it's not a mindfulness moment. It's a time of recognition. And so our wonderful video.
Hello and welcome to the ALH team meeting with our amazing success coaches and team. Our motto is simple: walk it like we talk it. So get ready for our mindfulness moment in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get ready to grow together.
All right, and I tell you what, we are truly growing, and I'm so very thankful, everyone. And so guess what? It's somebody's birthday week. Alan, 3-phone Richardson is what I call him. Happy birthday, Alan.
You gotta
thank
chill.
you.
The 3 phones is crazy. Putting my business out there. Thank you so much. You really said you was gonna do that. Wow. Thank you.
You're so very welcome. I'm so thankful to be working with you. And so I joke with Alan all the time. And so that's why I put the 3-phone. He used to be 2-phone, but now he's got 3. So birthday come up. All right. So it was Alan's birthday on Monday, and I wanted to acknowledge that truly. We are very thankful for your leadership at Stanford.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And everyone, I just want to let you know how much you are appreciated. We really do appreciate you. I know we have been through a lot of growing pains and a lot of changes, but for the better, right? And I hope you all are seeing that, and it's only going to continue to improve. And so with that being said, we have some shining star spotlights today that I want to recognize, and some things that I have seen and I am observing, I am watching, I am, hopefully you all are seeing that I'm around, and I want to be a help to you all. So first off, before I go into that, please don't hesitate to reach out. You all are already doing that. And for those that don't know me, I'm Tova, okay? And I am in that house and helping for the group home operations, also a direct liaison to Mr. Peterson. And I do some consulting in that area with him and whoever else is needing it. But with that being said, I want to give a brief shout out to Miss LaBrenda. I don't know if she's on. I can't remember if I saw her, but I just want her to know how thankful I am for her, and we are as an organization. I saw her in the flesh working with Preston, and I was so impressed. The cleanliness, the care, the love that she has for this work, and I wanted to recognize her today for that. And that whole team is phenomenal, but I wanted to do that. And then my next spotlight is ML, my main man, ML. Love that guy. Mike, are you on here? I think I saw you at one.
I am.
Mike, so very impressed with what I saw, especially Saturday. Preston's parents were there. I spoke with them privately. They were just so thankful for what is being done for Preston, and you absolutely exude that on that day and ongoing. Mike gonna give us the business though with that mouth. He gonna tell us like, hey, Miss Tola, let me tell you what's going on, man. And I appreciate that, Mike. I appreciate that you
Yes, ma'am.
feel safe and candid enough to tell me what's going on. And we all, we all have those times that we don't understand something, and I want you to get clarity. So I thank you for that. And so, Mike, again, I just really wanted to shout you out at the care that you provide to Preston. And, you, LaBrenda, Chris, you all are absolutely an asset, but I absolutely was able to see and heard how impressed they were with you both. So I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And OMG, y'all, we wouldn't be here without this leadership team licensing group. My goodness, we worked tirelessly the past really 3 weeks. It was like all hands on deck. And this group here has been instrumental in really getting us where we are today. And whether it be things behind the scene, I mean, you all don't even know all the paperwork and things that we have to do in order to ensure we are up to par. And so this group was instrumental in that. And so I personally want to thank you all from the bottom top side of my heart, and as well as Mr. Peterson, he's a minister as well, and the whole ALH leadership, Miss Donnell, Mr. Verl. My gosh, the board, we're so thankful. Oh my gosh. I mean, the houses look amazing. They smell amazing. You can see that the residents recognize it. And guess what, y'all? How many incidents have we had? Far few in between. We ain't seeing it. Do y'all recognize how important it is when we get in line? It changes the whole atmosphere, y'all. That's the anointing. I'm gonna just put it out there. But what I'm saying is, they recognize it. They see your effort. How do you all feel? What do you all think about that? Do you see that there's a change in the whole way that the kids are feeling and how things are operating? Anybody have any thoughts?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Definitely.
I
I
see
was
it.
just not to get off topic, but honestly, Jacob just brought me his grades. I know it's working. He got straight A's and B's. He been going to school. He ain't been AWOL, and he been
Man,
on task. Like I literally got a copy of his grades right now. A's and B's, no D's, no F's.
wow.
So,
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much, Alan, for sharing that. And he is a testament to what we have seen. Y'all, I mean, he has been coming back. He signs in and out. He was actively assisting me in pulling up the floor and throwing trash away. And he put on his backpack. Y'all know he had thrown that wolf backpack. It's got a wolf on it. And he was like, I'm out. I said, man, you helping me. He said, all right. He put that backpack down and got back to it and then went on his Walmart run. But I was thankful that he was willing to help. He's not slick at the mouth. I mean, it's just a breath of fresh air, you all, and that shows by what you all are doing. I can't take the credit. It's you, okay? And we're so thankful. So again, thank you for that. And new employee spotlight, OMG, Kareem and Tavion. Oh, wow. Came in hitting the ground running, really learning the ropes, taking the initiative to clean and help. And, how can I help in this area? I've been impressed and I'm thankful for that. And so this is the way we want to continue to model, right? It's modeling what we want to see. And you all have done that, which is why they came in doing what they need to do, because they saw it from you, all right? Because it starts with you. So thank you. Kareem and Tavion. I don't know if they're on, because I'm gonna go ahead and say half of y'all can't see. I don't know why y'all don't want to be on the camera. I need to see you. It's hard to communicate with the Hollywood Square with no picture in it, but I'm just keeping it real. So maybe next week, next time, next pay period, y'all be camera ready, okay? And so again, thank you. It's just absolutely an honor to serve you all in this setting. So today we are getting into a little understanding of sexual abuse. supervision and house safety, a house safety plan that we need to establish. Why is this necessary, you all? Why do we need to walk it like we talk it? Because guess what? We're getting some heavy hitters coming in, and we currently have some young people that have had some traumas in their lives from a sexual standpoint, right? And more to come, you all. I just want you all to know this is the kind of kids that we're getting that are what they call from a medical standpoint or a behavioral standpoint, poly-victimization. That means that not only have they been physically abused, they've been sexually abused, they've been neglected, meaning poly, multiple, okay? And so that's what we're dealing with. Guess what? Some of us have had poly-victimization. So we need to know, not only are we triggered, they can be triggered, okay? And we are really handling this very, very well. But we're all a work in progress. We're always learning. And so I want to give you all a little specialized information on that in my next presentation. But one of the things I want to talk about is let's keep tightening the rope, y'all. And we're doing that. And so what does that mean? Starting with our supervision, right? You all have been doing that, but I need you to know with the young people that potentially are coming aboard, which we got about 4 in the row. Is that correct, Miss Patty and Catherine and Beverly? We got about 4. I think that we've been in interviews, and I know 2 for sure, but they're coming, okay? And so does that mean we can just be kind of lackadaisical? Not that we are, but we can't. We've got to be on guard, tightening it up, making sure, like he is with his tie, right? We're going in there. As soon as we come on shift, hey, who's here? I saw that with who is it? Mr. Craig. Mr. Craig came in, said one day I was there, he said, hey, who's on shift? Who's the kids? Who's here? I love that. I love that you did that. And that was dope, Mr. Craig, really finding out who are our residents that are in the house, where are the other people. Let's model that. Let's find out who's there, where are the individuals that are not there, so we can be on guard, right? If a child goes to the bathroom and it takes a little longer than normal, we need to go check up on it, okay? So that comes into our alertness. Where are our kids in residence at all times? Because the last thing that we want is for a resident to be offended on our watch. We don't want that. We want them to be safe and protected, because understand that impedes trust. That impedes trust from a system standpoint, from a resident standpoint, and then our trust from a leadership standpoint in you. We can't trust that you're doing what you need to do, right? I know that things can happen, and I mean real quick, y'all, real quick. Kids are slick there, and I need you all to understand, and we'll get into this, but kids that have offending tendencies, they're master manipulators. That is what happens, right? They are utilizing their charm, their wit to do what they want to do. Okay. And a vulnerable individual will not know that they're being manipulated. They'll think, oh, this is my friend. They got my back, right? And we do have some really impressionable young people in our care, right? And we do not want that. That is why we've got to be on point. Okay. Room checks. Another thing, getting in there and doing those room checks. I'm talking about, hey, you don't need to be in such and such room. You need to be in the common area. I already saw that. Don't go past this area, especially at Stanford. Same thing happening at Greencastle. Super, super important. Another thing, as far as tightening the rope, we want to capture behavioral deviance. So when kids are doing things that this is a little out of their norm, or we see things escalating. But guess what? Not only do we want to not just capture incidents, we want to capture when we see improvements. So just like you said, Alan, about Jacob, we want to capture that. So don't always think that an incident report is punitive, it's negative. It is also for our stakeholders, who are the counties that we work with, those workers, to know, hey, I see a change in this young person. I see that they're making improvements. And guess what? That's a direct result of what you're doing with those youth. Okay. So guess what? We're watching too. We're able to see that these patterns of behaviors are changing as a result of what you're doing with the young people. And so then that brings me to catch you being good. That's the kind of stuff we want to do. Catch a young person being good. I caught you being good, man. I appreciate you. Miss Catherine has implemented this amazing incentive box or store or whatever we're calling it, but it's there. It's available. That's something we can tell Miss Catherine, hey, I caught Anthony, I caught Jacob, I caught Peyton doing such and such, such and such. Can we get them something? Miss Catherine can give you something to give to them, or let me know. I will do that. But we want to encapsulate these amazing things and improvements that our young people are making. Y'all, that makes a huge difference when we're not calling the police every day. They ain't been called, y'all. That's huge. That is huge. All right. And so I'm so thankful for that. And it's only up from here. We all the way up. Nothing can stop us. We're all the way up. That's one of my favorite songs. Okay. That's where we are. All right. So we're drawing the line right now. Right. That's why I have this police line, do not cross, because I'm letting them know, don't cross us. We about our business. We're walking it like we're talking it. Okay. So that's where we are, guys. And so that also brings me to Resident of the Week. We want to make sure we're highlighting these young people, that they're doing big things, okay? And their big things may be a small incremental step that they're taking to make change, right? We don't need to just highlight when we see this vast improvement. Well, how about this? If we have a resident that has historically had straight Fs, and now that they've brought their stuff up to Ds, that's a significant improvement for them. That, you know, how about if we have a young child that did stay in their seat through the day, that typically they just get on up, okay? And the teacher is calling. I think about Peyton. Darius gets calls from the teacher every single day. Well, if he's, you know what, after the call today, Darius, he made a significant improvement. We want to acknowledge that. We want to, when he comes home, hey, Peyton, I heard you turned your day around. High five, buddy. We give him something. Sometimes kids need something right in that moment. We can't wait for a whole week. Does that make sense? We have to give them accolades in the moment, just like you all want to be acknowledged. You don't want somebody to just tell you 2 weeks from now, oh, I did see you last Monday, I forgot to tell you. No, we want to tell people right then that we see what they're doing, okay? So yes, we're going to have our resident a week, but as a matter of fact, let's acknowledge what they're doing. We caught them being good in the moment, all right? And acknowledge it. I don't care if that's I don't know, an extra apple slice. I don't know, a high five. I don't know, a sticker. Y'all know kids like stickers. I like stickers, okay? They do, they really do. So anything of that nature makes a huge difference, that you say, you know what? You did so well today. Can you help me set the table? Can you help me put this stuff away? Those kind of things is that camaraderie, that rapport building, that modeling what we want to see. It's so much in that. And guess where that can go? Skill tracker. Hey, let's pump that up. We can put those kind of things in there, right? We're letting them know that we see it, we model it, we're going to document it, and then we're all seeing it. The team and the stakeholders, meaning our social workers and the counties that we work with. We want them to know this is what we're about. We're about this life, okay? Anyone have any questions or thoughts about that information? Is that good, everyone? Makes sense? Any other thoughts before we get into the sexual abuse information? Anyone have anything that they want to shout out or share other than what we already have heard?
Nope.
All right, awesome. All right, let's get it going. And I'm going to breeze through this, but I thought this was really, really important because, and I want you all to know that this is a training that I do for foster parents, but it is still about straight talk. And it is a formalized training. It's typically 3 hours. I usually show a documentary, but it satisfies your ITNA competency for caring for sexualized abused children. And so this is a formal training curriculum. Are you all just seeing a plain screen that says straight talk? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect. All right, so our following learning objectives, we're going to really get familiarized with sexual abuse, signs of sexual abuse, exploitation, understanding healthy sexual development, because some things are normal that kids do, but what do we need to do? We need to make sure that they understand, hey, if you're exploring your body, you need to do that in private area. In the bathroom, closed doors. In your room, closed doors, right? And not in the confines of everyone else. We're also going to understand and establish some safety plan guidelines. So we're going to talk about what do we do in the group home, in a foster home, in any setting that we're in, on how do we do that. And then lastly, understanding how it does affect us. Okay, so we'll get in a little bit of that, but it's important to understand that what sexual abuse means. Okay, the wide range of experiences, and the majority of children who have been abused do not go on to abuse others. That's a misconception. A lot of us believe, because a lot of our kids have a inappropriate touch narrative. Okay, I want to also let you all understand that sexual abuse is not just touching, not somebody just touching. It is exploitation. That this child have may been in a room where their parents or primary caregivers had a porno going on, had in the bathroom drawer. I don't know about y'all. My grandparents, I would go to my grandmother's house. My uncles had Hustler and Playboy right there in the drawer. I knew they were there, right? So it's us having the knowledge that and have the access to something. Or maybe an inappropriate attire. Maybe in the private areas, it's wet, which is another trigger for kids. So I think about, we have a young person in one of the houses that frequently we're having pull up your pants, those kind of things. That can be triggering for another individual, right? That they're being exposed, they're bending down and you see parts, right? And the key thing as well for us as the caregivers, we've got to be mindful about what we're wearing. One of the things that I always do, yeah, I like leggings, but I'm tying something around my waist, right? Because I want to make sure that I'm not unintentionally doing something that could be triggering or showing something to a child or another individual, an adult, okay? So keep that in mind. But it is important to know, just because a child has been a victim of sexualized deviance does not mean that they will be an offender. Does not mean that they're going to be. Does somebody have a question, a thought? Oh, okay. Does not mean that they're going to be an offender. However, typically when a person is moving into offending behaviors, guess what it's a result of? Not feeling in control, feeling powerless in their lives. Lack of control. So now they're trying to assert their power onto someone else, gain control in some way, right? And because that is what happened to them, they're really modeling it. So until we show them something different, they may continue to try. And that looks different in different ways. Like I had spoken with Catherine yesterday. Was it Catherine or last night? Oh, I don't know. We were talking late, but I remember we had a conversation. We had interviewed a young person, right? And this young person had talked about I can't remember what he said that made me trigger to say that I was like, "Ooh, that's something we need to think about." What was it, Catherine?
About the food and snacks.
Yes. So here's the thing. He had mentioned to us, we had all this interview, and then he said, so when do y'all eat, and what kind of food do y'all eat, and all this other stuff. It was very serious for him. So we talked about it, and he was like, "Oh man, I like that," and he said he liked Alfredo. So then we went back and read his ICA, his information that they send over. Well, guess what? He had been homeless and had to hoard for food, had to look and scrounge for food. So by us not having a structured schedule for food, he doesn't know, I'm going to eat breakfast at this time, I'm going to have a snack, I'm going to eat lunch, I'm going to have another snack, I'm going to have a dinner. It could cause him to start stealing, hoarding, sneaking to get the things that he wants. See that? And then guess what? it could also be coupled with manipulation of another youth. Hey, let me get that. Let me take this. And in a vulnerable youth, I think about maybe like a Isaiah or somebody, you know, very sweet, mild-mannered child. They could think this person is befriending them, but they're using them. Well, if this young person also has some sexual deviance, guess what? That could be the catalyst to ultimately offend someone. See how slick it can be and how the succession can happen? Something that we think is one thing, but it's something else. So huge, huge, important thing, okay? So I'm going to go to Ohio's definition of sexual abuse. So the state of Ohio terms abused child includes a child who is a victim of sexual activity when such activity would constitute offense. Okay. So sexual activity means vaginal intercourse between a male or a female, anal, fellatio, clitoris, the private parts. Okay. They're inserting things, exposing body parts, penetration, but it does not have to be. That's the key. We need to know it does not have to be any sexualized act. It can just be exposure. And then so that gets into the part two. That sexual contact means in touching of those special zones, right? And we need to understand that the law also shares that the mouth is a private part. I always train on that. Mouth, butt, penis, vagina, they're all private parts, okay? Again, sexual arousing, gratifying each other, that's huge. You'll see that kind of stuff. And I know that's a lot to be talking about, but it's real. This is the world we're in, right? The enticement, the encouraging, the compelling, employing a young person. And this is what they do. This is where the manipulation comes in, okay? Production, presentation. Some kids, pictures have been taken of them and they've been disseminated by family members. Some kids have been sold for drugs by their caregivers. Okay, it's a lot of things that have happened to the kids that we are servicing that we can't even fathom in our minds. So when you look at them, you think one thing, and why are they acting up like this? Or why don't they clean themselves up? And why do they not hold their bowels? Well, abuse causes a whole lot of stuff to happen to an individual. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's see. I don't need to get into that. Okay, so here we go. The National Child Traumatic Stress Network. Abusers often do not use physical force, but they may use play, deception, threats, that coercion to engage another child or youth to maintain silence. Also, abusers or offenders frequently employ persuasive, manipulative tactics to keep a child engaged. Oh man, come in here and play with me, or let me show you this. Oh, I love cards too. They'll find that thing that child likes, wants, desires. And that could simply just be companionship, friendship. Our kids are socially awkward at times. So this young person will use that as a tactic. Buying them gifts. Hey, I got my allowance. I know you didn't get yours. When we go to the store, I'm gonna get you some Flaming Hots too. I'm gonna get you some Takis. Okay. Arranging special activities, and it confuses that individual because they're like, well, I like when we're having fun together. I don't like this, but it outweighs because I don't have anybody. I didn't have anybody give me this kind of attention and care. Make sense? Anybody have any questions about that? Is this helpful?
Yes, it's very insightful. I think people tend to like we got a prime example in Lil John. She had a very sexual background, and it's hard to identify why this child is always asking for and information like this just gives you a more direct understanding of how they got to this point. Just that hug is triggering. It's a trigger. It's not. He probably can't even help himself. He don't know why he want this hug. So it's definitely
That's
very
so
helpful.
good. Oh, Alan, that was such a perfect example because that was a person. And then you have to understand boundaries. They don't have good boundaries. And so for you as an individual, as caregiver or the staff, it's annoying. You're like, if he did, bruh, I done gave you a hug as soon as y'all walked in the door, you know, but it's that touch, that anyway, because also it's the way that that individual would manipulate and say that I'm giving you love, right? And so they're yearning for that, but at the same time, it's triggering it, as well. So it's two-folded. So there's a way that, wow, I really do care about you, Josh, and I want to express my care for you this way, and showing them. So we're modeling how to even show them how to assert boundaries, but not getting attitude when that person is yearning for that, right? And I think that's the hard part. That's the delicate dance that we must exhibit, because we don't want this child to feel rejected by us, them getting on our nerves, asking for a hug every 2 seconds, you know. And I think sometimes it does make us like, man, get away, move back, especially if we have proximity issues. You know, we're like, you in my bubble, you're in my personal bubble. But when we say it that way and our body language exudes, you got on my nerves, that child now feels rejected. And then guess what? Triggers them. Then guess what? They start acting up. Then guess what? They do something inappropriate. Then there's a trickle down effect, as opposed to us saying, wow, I can tell you're really having a tough day, or you really need some attention. How about this? You want to come over here and help me with this? Or as soon as I finish doing my paperwork, we'll get together, sit down and do something. You can help me set up for lunch. You can help me pick out the snack, right? That's giving them the attention that they need, but in an appropriate way. I usually show this amazing documentary, but of course we're not doing it today. So let's get into, so Rewind, huge, great, talks about child advocacy, and it's on Prime, maybe another day. Understanding the signs of sexual abuse. So child welfare agencies, they usually share all known information about a child. So we're getting that, you all. We got to read it. We got to read it in your time. And so this would be an Alan Darius thing. When a new resident comes, you may need to orient each shift staff on those specifics about that young person. And we know, because there's not one time that we really are going to have everyone together. Hopefully we can, you know, to the best of our ability in these meetings, but we won't, right? So that means, hey, just want to give you a quick synopsis on this young person. These are the things I want you to be mindful of during the shift. This is what I saw earlier. That's when we're having this kind of tag team back again. You know what I mean? Tagging them in and telling them what is going on. See, Alan, song every time. I told you. We're going to do that each time a new person, new group comes on shift. So they're aware what we've seen, what we are seeing, because I'm going to tell y'all, as a former caseworker, everything about a kid I don't know initially. It comes by you. You may be the first to see some things. So when I come as a caseworker, these are the things I want to share. They need to put that in now, their information, their record, because guess what? Also, it can change that child's level of care. And guess what? Level of care change increases the amount of dollar we receive. Okay, makes sense. See how that goes hand in hand? So when we're talking about some of these things, hey, yeah, I've seen an increase in their sexual deviance, and some things are increasing after visits. This is what I'm seeing, like Darius Payton, how he was so heavily triggered, new resident, having a visit with his father. We saw for probably 4 or 5 days straight, his behaviors were not what they used to be, right? Clear sign that something went on. He was triggered in some way, not necessarily sexual, but something's going on there. There's a change. That's the key. We need to know the signs, all right? But we're sharing that information, putting it in an incident report. I know it wasn't some grave incident, but it's something, a change. And then we're able to document and show a track record, okay? Huge, huge, huge. Keep in mind that there's no hard or fast rules about what constitutes normal sexual development, and behaviors might signal sexual abuse. We've already kind of talked about that. And children do show a wide range of sexual behaviors, sexual curiosity at various times and developmental levels. Well, we know our kids chronologically, right, are growing in age, but their mental age is very young. So their body is still doing what it's supposed to do. They still have urges. They still desire to be with whoever they're interested in being with, but behaviorally and emotionally, they're like an 8-year-old. So they're not going to handle themselves appropriately, right? They're going to do things out in the open. Their bottom is itching or something, or they feeling something, and they might be in their pants, and you're like, bruh, not out here. But don't say it like that. You may say, hey, maybe you need to go to the bathroom and check some things out. Make sure you do that in your private time, but don't do it out in the open. And hey, don't be doing it. No, go to them one-on-one and speak with them. Okay, there's a way to handle it. So some signs of sexual abuse, just in case, because these are some things, if we do have a master manipulator on deck, we may start seeing some behaviors in a child, and we're like, where did this come from? This is out of their norm, right? And that's the key.
Oh, let me call some staff.
Okay.
Okay, so explicit sexual knowledge. They know stuff far beyond their developmental age, okay? Sexual preoccupation, they're drawing sexualized pictures. Our kids like to draw. They're doing some things, they're using language. Huge. We've got to redirect, okay? Not yell, be firm and redirect.
On the building.
So if you go just like how this all curves, there's a single
somebody needs to mute.
inside, you'll go through that single door and that'll take you to the C elevator.
C elevator.
I don't know who that is. Who is it?
Going down the C elevator.
That's Mr. Walker's.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Yes, Mr. Walker.
I got it. I think I was muted. Catherine, go ahead, please. I didn't see your hand up.
Oh, I was just it was on the topic of like, and it's kind of on this too, like even sexual things that they're saying, and like how should that be documented too? Like, because sometimes we don't think of that right up. We'll just think of like the physical things like messing up the house or, you know, something big, but like even those little comments and those little jokes and things like that. Or
especially if it's ongoing. Like if you were able to redirect and then you don't keep hearing it, but if you keep hearing it's like they're always inappropriate, always saying these kind of things, huge red flag, and important for us to document, because maybe just as they're chronologically getting older, they're developmentally getting older, body things are happening, and now they're thinking about this, or they're having a reenactment in their mind of something that has happened, and they may act on it if we're not handling it appropriately, especially. And then that's another place that we would, if they're in therapy, to address it with the therapist. Hey, we're hearing this more often, you know, and then we can document, hey, share this with the therapist, and they're going to be addressing this topic in therapy moving forward.
Okay.
Just something that simple. Great question, Catherine. And then you may see a young person inserting toys, objects in their genital openings. Huge sign of sexual abuse, right? Especially if they say it or they're mentioning it to another youth, because again, it may not be documented that this child has been a victim, but now we're seeing things. All right, so we don't know if it's happened prior to coming or something that has happened while they've been with us. All right, excessive masturbation. They may do it in the public. You know, I had a kid that was on my caseload that would expose themselves right there, like at church on the pew, and do his business. Okay. So, you know, and people have not been responsive and not redirecting them, talking to them about those limitations. Pain, itching, redness, bleeding in the genital areas, clear sign. Night terrors, trouble sleeping, fear of the dark, all of those things are huge red flags. Some other things, sudden mood swings, you're seeing rage, fear, anger, excessive crying, withdrawal. So now this young person is isolating, and that has not been their typical behavior, okay? Loss of appetite. So you have a huge shift in what their appetite looks like. And again, some of this does not necessarily mean sexual abuse. It means that something's going on with this individual. So some of those things just mirror that there's a significant change. This child is thinking about something. But if we're attentive, on guard, tightening up, we're going to know this child is out of their norm, okay? Unexplained avoidance of certain people. certain places, certain activities. And I'm just going to be honest, understand if this child is doing that toward a staff person, that we're seeing that they're really trying to avoid these people at all costs, something could be going on. They may be fearful of that individual. There may be something that was said that could have been threatening. We got to be on point, y'all. You know, it's not just about the youth, it's us too. Talking about new or older friends. Maybe they have some new, you know, we do have some kids that go out and they're like, I got a new friend. I meet them at the library. Oh, really? Tell me a little bit about your friend. Wow, a new friend. It could be some grown person grooming this child. Okay. And their unexplained money and items that they have. Okay. So here's some resources that are really good. If you ever want to do a little bit more research on this, Stop It Now. Excellent, excellent, excellent stuff with the red flags and helping professionals learn a little bit more about sexual abuse. The Mayo Clinic, which is right here in Ohio, that is actually Cincinnati's child advocacy center, which specializes in forensic interviewing. We have it also here in Dayton, which is the Child Advocacy Center of Warren County. Greene County has what is called Michael's House, and Montgomery County, Dayton has Care House, but they're all under Dayton Children's. They're all child advocacy centers. And yeah, then the Child Trauma Stress Network is really good as well. And shameless plug, Darkness to Light, another really, really good. As a matter of fact, I think I want to do that training with you all, but that's another resource, d2l.org. I want to give you all this. This is common age stuff, and I thought I needed to start with 6 to 12 because some of our kids' mental age is that, and between that, or we have a 12-year-old. So just to know, common stuff that's normal. This is what they normally talk about. Questions about masturbation, pregnancy, sexual behavior. It's normal to ask those questions, okay? Experimenting with same-age children. Kissing, fondling, exhibitionism. That means you might see a kid, they got their clothes off. You come in, like I remember my little cousins. I come in the room, we're getting ready to go swimming. They naked and they're on this ball bouncing and holding on each other. Appropriate. That wasn't anything sexual, but it's shocking when you first see it. You say, "Oh wow, let's get our swim clothes on. We want to play like that when we're fully clothed. We don't want anybody to touch us with our swimsuit covers." Just that simple. You don't have to make it weird. You just redirect, okay? Role playing, masturbation in the home, in private places. Absolutely common, absolutely normal. Now, when you hear them discussing explicit sexual acts, that's a whole different situation, okay? Asking adults, asking peers to participate in explicit sexual acts. And we've got to make sure we're watching, make sure, just our playful words. If we're on the phone or with our spouse or our boo, "Hey baby," and "Ooh, I can't wait to get," those kind of things, that's not appropriate. They don't need to hear that. Do that in your car, on your break, or when you leave, or before you come in, okay? And then another uncommon thing is masturbating in public and excessively bleeding. Maybe a young person is saying, you see their underwear when you're washing clothes and it's blood in the back. That's a red flag. And then the last age bracket I want to address is common for 13 to 16 on up. Questions about decision-making, social relationships, sexual customs. I was with London and he said, "Miss Tova, I just really need help with how to approach girls, how to talk to girls. Like, how do I do that?" That's a very common, appropriate question. Right? He wants to be appropriate when he's addressing girls, because he had told me an example. I said, "Oh no, London, that's gonna turn them off," right? He was like whistling and making. I said, "No, they'll be like, I'm not talking to him. How you don't know how to approach me, right?" But I think it's so adorable and appropriate that he wanted to ask how to do this, right? Okay. That's what we want to do. Masturbation in private, again, appropriate. Voyeurism, we know. Kids look up stuff on their phones, their tablets, so we need to be mindful of what they're looking at. We don't want them to be exposed and seeing those kind of things, but we know somebody else at school may show them something, and then they're like, "Oh, now I got it. Pornhub," okay? And now they've got a mental note about it. Okay. There may be a child that is engaged in some sexual intercourse. Let's just be honest. If they have a boo, a friend, they may have done that. Another thing, oral sex. I made sure I added this. Approximately 1/3 of 15 to 17-year-olds are doing it. As a matter of fact, they do this first. You know, for before maybe our age bracket, those Gen X, I don't know, I'm not good at that, baby boomers, but those generations. But that is something that's next level intimacy. It's the first intimacy for this age bracket. Okay, they may do this behind the bleacher, at the game, in the bathroom. Okay, so very, very common, unfortunately. And another thing is sexting. It is common for individuals to send pictures of themselves. I know we had that going on with like Alex recording and those kind of things. However, that's sexual exploitation. We don't want it. We don't want them doing it. Okay. But there's a real delicate dance because the law has kind of been laxed about how they're handling it because it's become so commonplace with these apps and things out there. But the last thing I wanted to share is uncommon things, sexual interest, much younger children. Now that it's so hard for us because we have kids that chronologically may be 20, but mentally might be like 12. So they have a relational connection with a 12-year-old, 13-year-old in our home, right? So, and they may think it's totally appropriate for them to engage with them, not thinking of their age, okay? So keep that in mind. We've just got to be on guard. Aggressive touching of genitals, again, the same, exploiting explicit sexual acts, aggression, and non-compliance with their drugs. Last thing I want to get to is real quick is the safety plan. And the key thing is our response is everything. Remember, this is a 3-hour course, so let me keep going. Here we go. Oh, so yes. Now this addresses family, but this is what we want to do. We want to provide structure. I know this is something that we're now tightening up on, but we've got to be very structured in the way that we handle ourselves, okay? Our routine. We need to have no real, we're going to have free time, but it's still structured. They know that this is the area we're going to be in. These are the things that we're going to be doing. If they're outside playing, we need to have our eyes on them. It needs to be a staff visibly, maybe sitting on the porch. If they're just playing outside in the back or whatever, but we want engagement, y'all. We want you to engage with them. We want you to throw the football, basketball, or whatever with them, playing, I don't know, whatever they want to play outside. Those kind of things. But safe, structured, nurturing. That includes food. You see this family, they sitting down eating with them, okay? And that's how you learn things as well. You want to make your home, our home setting comfortable, okay? And then you're able to learn the patterns of behavior of a young person. So we want to make sure everyone in our household is comfortable, understands our level of touching. We doing side hugs, y'all. We doing fist bumps. We doing high fives. Nobody should be doing some full-on hugs. No one, not residents, not us. Okay, very, very important. Our touch, because it's all triggering, whether they say it or not. Surely not kissing, and we don't want them to kiss. Okay, be cautious of playful touch. So especially, you know, boys horseplay, right? It's just what they do. They want to wrestle and those kind of things, and even us. Right? But we got to watch it. We got to watch that kind of play because it could be misconstrued by that young person or used against us when they're mad. Oh, well, I was at the house, Mr. Darius, he was wrestling with us and it got too rough. He did it. And you don't want that. You don't want any reason for anybody to say something. I'm just using that as an example. Fighting, tickling. Tickling is a true master manipulator's tactic. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up real quick. And then it can be scary, okay? Help the child learn the importance of privacy. So remind them to knock before they enter a bathroom, right? Especially if maybe a young person forgot to lock the door, but the door was closed and they open up and somebody's in there, right? So make that a common practice. We're gonna knock before we enter. Same thing with us. you know, knock, knock, and they know I'm gonna knock 2 times and then I'm opening the door. Okay, because I want to make sure that you're safe. This is what we do as staff. But guess what? We're going to do that in a family meeting. Alan, Darius, staff, right? And then we're going to make sure we do this. And so we can put this stuff in writing if this will be helpful, just some boom, boom, boom points that you all can talk to them about collectively so we can develop these safety plans and privacy. Bedrooms as well, encourage children to dress, bathe in their own area, you know, closing that door, don't come out without a shirt on, all right, those kind of things. And we want to model what we want to see. That's not even nothing that we need to be addressing, but again, the sexual messaging, media, what we're watching, what we take them to see. We've got to make sure we know what's going to be in it. What's the content in this movie? What's the content in what we're watching, right? Could this potentially be triggering? Is this teen too much for this particular kid or these residents, right? Some kids may be able to handle some things. I know, you know, I'm a little bit more choosy about certain things, but we do have to think about that. Just because they're 19, 18, 20, 16 does not mean that they can emotionally handle something, okay? So that's important as well. Games, video games that they're playing, some stuff could just be teen too much, okay? That violent and graphic stuff, we don't want it, all right? Make sure that was it. Yeah, and I already talked about boundaries, language that we use, huge. And then establish the same thing with their friends at school and the community. So we're going to talk to them about their own touch and boundaries and that kind of thing. That we keep lines of communication open with the kids because we want them to feel comfortable to talk to us. We want them to say, you know, I'm really having some thoughts about, you know, I may want to go to another level with my partner, my friend, and we need to talk to them about that, right? We can't shy away from it. All right, I think that's it. How was that? Was that beneficial?
Yes, ma'am. It was very beneficial for me, like I said, because
Definitely.
dealing with the whole going through puberty and these kids getting sexually active, we have to educate them so one, they don't make a mistake because they already in a tough setting. And if they're not educated sexually, that could spiral them out of control to some bad habits. Two, just like you said, them dealing with whatever trauma they already had existing, they got to know how to channel that so they don't trigger nobody or they don't stay triggered. So I think this is a good tool.
Love it. Thank you, Alan. So for everyone, if you do understand and get it, please in the chat, put IAAU, name IAAU, that you understand what we discussed today. And so the key points are, we're tightening up on our alertness. We're going to really be attentive to what's going on with our kids. Number 2, we want to make sure our supervision is intact, right? We're watching them. We're checking up, doing our room checks. We're checking on who are the residents on site and off site, right? We want to make sure that we're modeling appropriate touch, side hugs, high fives, fist bumps, and that's what we expect from the residents amongst each other. They're not to be in their own, their personal spaces together. Unless they share a room, that's fine. However, if individuals share room, they should not be changing in the room together. We need to make sure that they're doing that in the bathroom, common private areas, not in the body, okay? Huge. Not coming out with anything exposed. They need to be covered at all times, and we need to do the same. All right?
I like the idea of like having a training that prepares us for the residents that are to come. Like, okay, we know we're about to get this type of climate of so let's train, like, helpful.
Awesome.
So can we talk about real quick, maybe some of the specific kids that we want to pay attention to, you know, maybe just use like initials or first names, like what kids are we really, you know, some kids that we may want to pay attention to. And then secondly, once we do that, can we put can we put some of those things or some kind of abbreviation or something on the at a glance?
I would say AS. He's and JH, not in like no bad way. Just for JH, he's well into puberty. He's 18, so it's that time for him. You know. And same really can be said for AS. She's just a little bit delayed when it comes to, you know, the know-hows of a woman. So, but I can tell his jokes are over sexualized. He always cracking Family Guy type of jokes. So that lets me know what he's really interested in. And he got a cell phone now, but he hasn't displayed any fragrant things. He just cracks inappropriate jokes quite often.
And with that, I feel like, so what you're saying, JH, I feel like he one of the ones we really got to watch around female staff. Because I noticed that he'll like linger around, like he might not even be doing it on purpose, or even be doing like, you know, standing there saying anything, but he will linger around when there's more females around than when it's all male.
Very good. That's good. And that's what I'm talking about, Manuel. I love that you observed that, you saw that, and you shared it. Because that female staff may not be cognizant of that. They don't even know they're doing what they're doing, and they don't know he right behind them, all up on them, right? And then we're like, whoa, this is a lot. And so you being able to say, hey man, come on over here with me, you know, make sure you keep your distance. Don't be, you know, on Miss Catherine or Miss Alexis like that, or whoever, you know, Miss Michael. She's trying to handle some things. Watch your boundaries. Just that simple. And it doesn't mean that we're yelling. We're just redirecting. And then they say, oh, I know how anything. My fault. You know. And that's it. So what about what are we thinking about? So we have Stanford's. What do we think about Greencastle?
For Greencastle, I would say PM. I think that's his initials, and DE. PM, that's all he talk about.
Absolutely.
Everything is sexual with him.
And when you say PM, you're saying?
Yes.
And then, you know, and we know that DE, that's in his history, right? So we have to keep that in mind, that, you know, and think about his behavior and the things that he does, the way that he acts. He can act like he's very meek, and he really does kind of goes with the flow. He's very structured. That's a whole nother thing in his own stuff. So huge flag. So we just got to watch. And then, you know, what has happened when we saw some changes in his behavior. I'm not gonna say when Darius saw some changes in his behavior, he switched that whole house around. Move people where he needs, so he could watch, be attentive, and just to ensure people aren't getting anything off, right? And sometimes it has to happen immediately. We can't wait, right? Because we want to make sure that we're on guard and we're keeping kids safe.
Right, and I think it was a great move to have him moved upstairs.
Thank you, Miss Scarlett. Yes, that was huge. It was, and we've seen a change. So we saw it instantly, didn't we? And even cleanliness, what needed to happen, that bottom room has been cleaner, you know, so you see the change, you know, things that it helps also. And then you got your watchful eye on specific individuals. And another thing that was, as we're thinking about too, how we can contain people, right? PM needed a smaller space. That was too big for him, right? To be up in that big old room. But so good stuff. Love. And that kind of stuff has happened at Stanford. I saw move changes. I remember that Alex got moved, right? So that's huge. I love that you all do those kind of things. And we need to also think of new I in Stanford, easily manipulated. He's so sweet, so caring, so giving, so helpful. Another resident can come in and manipulate him really quickly. So we want to be mindful of that. Anything else? All right. Well, yeah, go ahead, please, Manuel, please.
So I don't know, you know, the other day, was it Sunday, I think, yeah. Ian claims that, he's always claiming that he doesn't have clothes, which, he did go through that thing where his clothes wasn't fitting and all that. But Sunday, he gets out the shower and he has on his robe, and he felt like, just having on the robe was enough to cover him. And he stated that, oh, well, other people let me do it. He didn't give any names, but he was like, well, other staff lets me do it. So, he was trying to talk me into letting him do it. So that's just something else to.
Mhm.
And hey, guys, make sure that those things, like, even those aren't like, that's not a critical incident report, but like, let's make sure we document that in EMS as an incident. It's nothing that we have to call anybody about. You guys are doing a great job at the critical incident reports and getting that down and, things, but like now we want to start going to the next level and be able to document behaviors. You know what I mean?
Mhm. It makes good sense, Emmanuel. So that's something because that could be him heightening his thing and just kind of pressing boundaries. It's like, I'm gonna just try this and see if I can get away with it, and if one staff, maybe they're preoccupied, right, or they don't really have a clear understanding on how he can be manipulative, and now we've given him a little inch and he gonna take a mile. So that's what he did. He came to you like, oh yeah, such and such let me do it. And maybe they did let him, he had it on and it was just like, okay, Ian, good job for taking your shower. Just something that simple because he did take a shower because that was an issue before that they didn't even think the fact that brother came out here with a robe on, open, showing his chest. We don't want that. We want him to have on his shirt and stuff. And so that's another thing for us tightening up is making sure, yeah, he does have clean clothes. We know he probably goes through clothes a little more frequent than most based his own needs, his personal hygiene, that maybe we do need to get him a couple more sweats and things, another pack of underwear on deck. He's probably going to go through underwear more often than most, right? And we need to know that. So, and that's just us being much more attentive and saying, hey, Miss C, can we get some more underwear over here for, IN or, whoever for or whoever, whatever the need is. Because that's not an issue to get those things for them. And making sure the stuff is washed.
Yeah.
Making sure it's
I
washed.
think the other thing that we had talked about, I know we talked about, again, taking note of that, but also, and this probably goes to maybe Catherine, Darius, Alan, Patty, making sure that we communicate those issues, especially with those specific individuals that have those diagnoses or those things in their history, making sure we communicate that to the therapist. I know Ms. Tova talked about that already kind of in passing, but those kind of things need to happen. Like, so we can get, more accurate therapeutic interventions for those kids with those sexual issues. So that means when we hear it, Catherine or Alan or Darius or Patty, when we hear about those things, then, obviously we would put that in EMS, but let's make sure again that we're communicating that with the caseworker and the therapist.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.